White supremacist Robert Bowers was sentenced to death by federal jury for carrying out the 2018 Tree of Life synagogue massacre in Pittsburgh, the most deadly anti-Semitic attack in U.S. history. And ILTV Steve Leibovich reports.
50-year-old Robert Bowers became the first man sentenced to death in U.S. federal court during the Biden administration for his anti-Semitic massacre. In 2018, carrying an automatic weapon, the white supremacist stormed the Tree of Life synagogue during Shabbat services, murdering 11 worshippers in the deadliest attack on Jews in U.S. history. Before being captured, Bowers traded gunfire with responding officers and was shot 3 times. He told police he did it because all these Jews need to die. The federal jury earlier found that Bowers was guilty on 63 criminal counts and now ruled that he be put to death for the attack.
And when people who espouse white supremacist, anti-Semitic, and bigoted views pick up weapons and use them to kill or to try to kill people because of their faith, our office and our partners in law enforcement will hold them accountable to the fullest extent of the law each and every time.
Most victims' family members supported the sentence.
And for the final verdict in this case, I feel relief. And the jury sat through months of horror and delivered justice to my mom and everyone that was killed and everyone injured and everyone beyond.
This trial is important in enforcing the law of the land. It is also important in sending a signal in the strongest possible terms that anti-Semitism and hate have no place in our hearts, no place in our communities, no place in our country, and will not be tolerated.
Jurors found that Bowers' attack was motivated by his hatred of Jews and to instill fear within the local, national, and international Jewish communities. They also found that Bowers lacked remorse.
Experience the power of truth with ILTV News. If you're looking for quality content and captivating visuals, join our news community and become an integral part of our team as we embark on a mission to unveil the real Israel, dismantling the web of lies and misinformation that surround reporting on Israel. By subscribing to ILTV News, you will not only have access to the latest updates, but you will also amplify our message, creating a ripple effect that carries the truth far and wide. Subscribe today and help reshape the narrative. Available on the web, Android, and Apple.
And joining us now on the case is the one who unveils perspectives on combating anti-Semitism, is pro-Israel speaker and influencer Hananya Naftali. Hananya, is it hoped that the death sentence for Robert Bowers will be a deterrent for others in the U.S. who might consider a mass anti-Semitic attack?
I sure hope so, because I think that it's preposterous that Jews make up 0.2% of the entire world's population, and yet we are the #1 ethnic group that is being targeted. So I hope that this story will tell a greater story, that anti-Semitism is not just a Jewish problem, but a humanity problem. So we all should unite against it.
Hananya, you know, it's so easy for Americans to get guns in the United States. I mean, there's no effective action, apparently, to keep guns out of the hands of haters. Is the only answer these days for the synagogues to have armed guards, like in schools? I mean, are we seeing more congregants arming themselves?
Definitely. We are seeing a lot more synagogues arming themselves and posting guards and training with Krav Maga there, the members of the synagogue. I think that it's important to stress the fact that it is not guns that are dangerous, but radical ideologies. The fact that people negate the right of Jews to exist, this is a problem. And I think that those that take the lives of innocent should pay with theirs. There should be zero tolerance for that.
Definitely. Now, Robert Bowers, the first one to be judged to death sentence during Biden's presidency. What do you think it shows? What does it teach society seeing this right now?
I think that the main point here is to show that combating blind hate and combating anti-Semitism is a bipartisan issue. It's not about being Republican. It's not about being Democrat, left or right. It's a problem that we all should deal with in unity, because now they are targeting the Jews, but tomorrow they can target other groups. So I think that we need to put our emphasis on how we can combat this problem together, because Jews are just normal people. We want to live normal lives, go to work, go back home without facing anti-Semitism. As simple as that.
That's true. Now, there has been a dramatic spike in anti-Semitism in the years since the Pittsburgh attack, so no lessons really have been learned. Are the haters of Jews just growing all the time?
Unfortunately, we do see rise in anti-Semitism, and if I'm not wrong, a recent research showed that Israel, and when you say Israel, you mean the Jewish state and the Jews, is the most targeted country, in terms of blind hate. But so I think that for the sake of the viewers, because everybody can do something to combat anti-Semitism, and I would suggest a few easy ways. And the number one thing is to raise awareness, to join conversations, to not turn a blind eye, a deaf ear to blind hate, to amplify Jewish voices, and to report blind hate. And the bottom and the most important of all is to engage in constructive conversations so that we all together learn and grow, because there are problems, but it should never spiral out of control and go to this side of anti-Semitism.
You know, Hananya, many in the Jewish community are traditionally opponents to that sentence. In this case, it seems that there were very few voices advocating for a life sentence instead of that. Is it because the scope of the attack?
This is actually very interesting, because I do hear a lot of people that they have different opinions regarding the death penalty. In my opinion, I think that this is an act of terror, of course. I would be surprised if people cast doubts about that. And we all remember that during the trial, the attorneys of the murderer, they tried to portray the image that he was not aware of what he was doing and that maybe it was a mental issue. But I'm sorry, if you enter a synagogue with a gun and you shoot every single human being that you see with the aim of killing them, murdering them, so obviously this is an act of anti-Semitism, an act of terror. And just like I said previously, I recommend anyone that doubts that to go to the graves of the 11 murdered Jews, the Jewish victims, and to ask them, how do they feel about that? Because now they are no longer with us because of blind hate and because of anti-Semitism.
Yes, Hananya, what we can definitely agree on is that justice was made in Pittsburgh. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Army Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi toured the Lebanese border amid provocations by Hezbollah terrorists. Senior officers presented Halevi with options for dealing with border issues moving forward. ILTV Steve Leibovich reports.
Army Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi toured the Lebanese border amid provocations by Hezbollah terrorists. Hezbollah has staged a variety of activities challenging Israeli sovereignty in a dozen minor border disputes. Halevi was accompanied by IDF Northern Command Major General Uri Gordon and Galil Division Commander Brigadier General Shai Kalfer. The Northern commanders provided details on recent incidents with Hezbollah on the border. This week, several Lebanese men crossed the barrier set up by UN peacekeeping forces near the contested village of Rajar. Months ago, Hezbollah erected tents north of the border fence, but within Israeli territory. Halevi viewed kilometers of new fencing and obstacles built along the border in recent months in an ongoing project to build a stronger barrier to augment the existing obstacles. About 10 kilometers of fencing was added this year. The Northern commanders presented new technologies and tactics for disrupting attempts by Hezbollah to undermine the border. Halevi's visit came about 2 weeks after Hezbollah released surveillance footage of the IDF chief visiting the Lebanese border area.